In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this really fun tuck stitch using a single bed knitting machine. For this demonstration, I have 41 stitches in work. I'll be using a 2 and a 1 prong tool. I'll be using 3 colors for the stripe, one dark blue, one lighter blue, and one cream. I've knitted a few rows in the cream color and then a couple of rows in the dark blue, and now I'm going to change my color again to cream. Before knitting any rows, I'm going to do some transfers. What I want to have after completing these transfers is 3 needles with 2 stitches and 3 needles out of work across the entire bed. I'm going to skip the first 2 stitches on the edge, and using my 2-prong tool, I'm going to transfer the next 2 stitches, altogether 2 stitches to the right, so that the 2 following needles will both receive a second stitch. And now, using a 1-prong tool, I'm going to transfer another stitch. I will skip the stitch closest to the needles that have 2 stitches, so I'll skip that, and I will transfer the next one 1 stitch to the left or towards the needles that have 2 stitches. At the edge, we will be emptying only 2 needles, but from here onwards, we will be having 3 in work, 3 out of work. So I've just emptied 1 needle here, and I have to empty 2 more. So I'm going to use my 2-prong tool again. We'll grab the next 2 stitches and transfer them all together 2 stitches to the right. From the last needle that received the second stitch, I will skip 1 and we'll transfer the next one 1 stitch to the left. And I will continue transferring like this. And again, here at the edge, I want to have 2 empty needles and then 2 stitches at the very edge. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer 1 more stitch to the right. I would say that this is the most difficult part of this stitch. So once you nail these transfers, you're really good to go. So like I said before, I'm going to knit with my cream color. Here, of course, you can play with different colors and different stripes and see what colors you prefer together. Alright, so the next step is to knit 6 rows. I'm going to make sure that the needles that I've emptied stay all the way to the back. And you can see now that we formed really long floats in between. In order to create a tuck, I'm going to grab all these floats and place them onto one of the needles. The needles that I'm going to place them on is going to be right in between or right in the center of those 3 needles that I've emptied previously. So you can push those forward just so you can see exactly on which needle you have to transfer. Ignore this little mistake here. I actually left 2 of those needles in work. Make sure you don't make the same mistake as me. And we will also be placing 1 needle in work right next to those 2 needles at the very edge. And now, using my 1-prong tool, I'm going to grab all those floats and I'm going to place them onto that needle that I brought forward. I'm going to be knitting 4 rows in light blue, but before knitting any rows, I'm going to pull the needles all the way out. This way we're ensuring that these needles are going to complete the stitch properly. You can see that 2 of the needles that we emptied at the very beginning are still out of work. Again, we are forming floats or ladders, but this time they are a little bit shorter. I'm going to place those floats that I just formed now onto the last needles that I have out of work. Again, I'm going to be swapping my color, so I'm going to use the dark blue and I'm going to knit 2 rows. So as you could see, we knitted 6 rows in white, 4 rows in light blue, and 2 rows in dark blue. For the next repeat, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did here, but this time I'm just going to stagger the transfers. So that means that all the needles that previously received the stitch, those will be without a stitch this time, and all the needles that I've emptied before will be the ones to receive the stitch. This time we will be skipping 5 stitches at the very edge, and I'm going to again transfer just like I did before. And here at the edge, again, I'm going to transfer 1 stitch only, so I have the same number of stitches as here, which is 5. I'm going to be swapping my colors again, so I'm going to be knitting rows in cream, and just like I did here, I'm going to knit 6 rows. And then again, just like we did before, we're going to place all those floats onto the needle in the very center. We'll swap my colors from cream to light blue, and I will knit 4 rows, leaving those needles out of work. I'm going to place the floats that I just formed onto the empty needles. We'll swap my colors again, so I'm going to be knitting with a dark blue, and we'll be knitting 2 rows. And we completed 1 repeat of the pattern. To begin with a new repeat, again, just like we did here at the beginning, I'm going to skip 2 stitches and transfer to have 3 needles in work, 3 out of work across. I'm going to do another repeat without voicing over. I hope this video inspired you to maybe have a play yourself, maybe try different stripes, different number of rows, different number of stitches to transfer. There's, I think, a lot of potential and a lot of ideas that can be developed. As always, if you do try any of these stitches, make sure to tag me on Instagram so I can see as well, and I will see you in my next video.